Yeah, just a quick review of the Epsom Soothing Muscle Lotion. So what's this stuff for? I mean, like, why would you consider trying it? Well, this is mainly used for like muscular pain. So let's say last weekend you went out and helped a friend move and did a lot of bending over and lifting. Woke up Monday morning, you're like, oh my God, my back. You know, your muscles are tight and maybe in spasm. That's something that you consider using something like this for. So what's in it? I mean, how does this stuff work? Well, anytime you're considering using something like this, you need to ask yourself one thing. What are the active ingredients? So what exactly is an active ingredient? Well, it's any ingredient that has a direct biological effect or pharmacological activity in your body. In other words, these are the ingredients in the product that really make it work. These are the ingredients that really do all the heavy lifting. So in the case of Epsom Soothing Muscle Lotion, as far as I can tell, the main active ingredient is magnesium sulfate, okay? So how does that work? How does magnesium sulfate get rid of pain? Well, basically, it blocks these NMDA receptors. I won't get too technical, but these NMDA receptors are involved in pain perception. So this magnesium sulfate kind of blocks those, so then you don't perceive the pain. So that's kind of how that works. So is this temporary relief, permanent relief? I mean, how does this stuff work exactly? Well, you know, I think if you have mainly muscular issues, like going back to the example, if you helped a friend move, you did a lot of bending over, let's say you did a lot of gardening, you know, your muscles are sore. A lot of times when muscles get sore and they're painful, you know, they're doing things that they're not used to doing. You know, you have pain, it causes them to go into spasm, then you have pain again, you know, the spasm creates more pain. And what you have going on is this pain, spasm, pain cycle. So if you have that going on, this is very helpful. I think this can give you a permanent relief. Basically, what it'll do is it'll kind of break up that pain, spasm, pain cycle. So you put it on, pain goes away, you've broken up the cycle. You may have to do that a couple times. But once you do that, then you've uninterrupted the cycle and your muscles are back to normal. Fortunately, there are a lot of cases where, you know, you have chronic long-term pain, kind of like, let's say, knee arthritis. So, you know, you have like an arthritic joint. This may just give you temporary relief. You just kind of have to try it. But a lot of times it doesn't. So, but I think there's a way actually to use this to get more permanent relief in conditions like that. So you really kind of need a multi-pronged treatment approach. You need to be doing several things. So let's take the example of like knee arthritis. So what's good for knee arthritis? What are some good treatments? Well, exercise. We all know that if you make your knee stronger, you make it more flexible, that, you know, the pain is going to go away. You know, the more joint stability you have, the more motion you have, the more freely the joint can move, you know, you stretch it out. You know, pain gets a lot better if you improve those things. But you can't do that right now because your knee hurts. So what you do is you put on some of this lotion and you start to get the pain down or it goes away. Now you have a little window of opportunity to do other things to give you the long-term relief. So for instance, you'd use the lotion, pain's better. Okay, and I'll get this from Bulletproof Your Knee book. One thing you want to do, let's say you had knee arthritis. This would be an opportunity to do like a quadriceps strengthening exercise. What are your quadriceps? Well, it's a big muscle on the top of your leg. It's the main stabilizer of your knee. What researchers are finding that if you have just about any kind of knee problem you can name, I can probably show you a study where researchers have taken a bunch of people with those knee problems, looked at all the muscles around the knee, and find you just had problems with the quadriceps muscle. So, to give an example, knee swelling in the quadriceps. Another study demonstrated that even if you have as little as 20 milliliters of fluid in your knee, but that's just over a tablespoon, it's enough to decrease the strength of your quadriceps muscle. So if you have any kind of like, you know, acute or long-term swelling in the joint, take this toll on your quadriceps. Knee injuries, you had, you know, if they'd opened up the surgical remover of the part of the knee cartilage, like you had like a meniscectomy, that kind of thing, fractured your tibia, surgical opening of the joint, you might have problems with your quadriceps. What they're finding is that basically the big finding is that it's weaker than normal. Some of these studies are actually doing CT scans and looking at cross-sectional area, and they're finding it's actually smaller than normal. Ligament problems, you know, if you've ever ACL, anterior cruciate ligament. You've heard of football players tearing that. Here's one study of people who completely ruptured their ACL, found that the strength of their quadriceps muscle is injured leg was decreased by 25 to 30%. So you're taking a muscle that's a big stabilizer, you're knocking its strength down 25, 30%. I mean, it's going to be hard to come back and become pain-free unless you get it stronger. Posterior cruciate ligament, medial collateral ligament. Here's going knee arthritis in the quadriceps. So if you Google knee arthritis and quadriceps strength, you're going to find practically every study shows that people with knee arthritis have quadriceps weakness. It's not necessarily the other muscles like the adductors or your hamstring. Basically, just the quadriceps muscle takes a big hit. Well, likewise, there's randomized controlled trials showing that if you strengthen your quadriceps muscle, the pain starts to go away. And some of these studies are even showing that the stronger your quads are, the least progression of the knee arthritis you have. So you want to do at least one quadriceps strengthening exercise. Other things you can do, for instance, knee flexibility, like I mentioned earlier. We all know your knee bends and straightens. A lot of people don't know is your knee actually rotates. So about the last 10 to 15 degrees of extension, that's you straightening your leg out, your knee actually rotates. So this is like a little test to see if you have that accessory motion. So they call it an accessory motion, but this, you need that for a fully functioning knee. But anyway, you can't do all this stuff now, but if you put this stuff on, it'll give you a window of opportunity to do these things, week by week. Everything is more flexible, stronger. This is with any part of your body, like your shoulder or your back. Week by week, you get stronger, more flexible, and then that's where you get the long-term relief. So anyway, good product. Check it out.